Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to paint your own set of cornhole boards. So if you're interested, stay tuned and be sure to like and subscribe. So here's the paint I used and the sanding materials, the paint brushes. I used a couple drop cloths. I have painter's tape, and I also used polyacrylic. You can use polyurethane if you like, it's your choice. Just be sure to read up on it. And I also have a meter stick, but you could use a ruler if you need one. I used the Valspar Season Plus Semi-Gloss. It is paint and primer in one. Of course, I do prime my boards as well. This is really good for outdoors when you're using them and if it's like a little bit rainy outside, and this is an exterior paint. These are from All American Tailgate. They're the boards that I always get. This is my third set from them. They come with two different set colors of cornhole bags, and they do come already put together, which is really great. One thing that kind of stinks about them is they are unfinished, so you have to sand them. And sometimes they do come with these nail holes not finished, so you will have to get something to fill them in. They do make wood colored, so that's great if you're not painting your entire board. But it is a pretty easy fix, so it's really... This is what it looks like when you open the box. It comes with two legs for each board, and there's two boards in here. And you put them together, but you're not going to put the legs together until after you paint everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these out, sand them down, and we're going to start drawing out our design. Alright, the first thing you're going to do is sand your boards. I use the sanding block just because I like it better than using sanding paper, but it is a personal preference. You can use whatever you're comfortable with. I do use the 60 grit for this, and I do the top, I do the sides, I do the back, I do every inch of these boards because they are unfinished. And like I said before, they do fill in the holes for you, the nail holes, but sometimes they're not all the way filled in. So if you fill those in yourself, you're also going to want to make sure that you sand that down as well. Also, you can probably see that one leg dangling. Before you sand, you want to try and get the legs off because you want to sand them too. I do paint and seal my legs as well. I just couldn't get that leg off at the moment, but I did get it off later. You definitely want to smooth down the sides and everything, just because when you pick up the boards later, you don't want any rough spots. You are going to be carrying them, and they are a little bit heavy, so you just want to make sure you don't get any splinters or anything like that. And I did just want to be really thorough and show you guys that I do sand these boards from top to bottom. Okay, the next step you're going to do is prime your boards. You can use the spray primer. You can also use the liquid primer, whatever your preference is. I actually don't really like spray primer. It hurts my finger, but I keep buying it. I'm not too sure why. And then you're just going to spray it in small spurts back and forth. You don't want to do long continuous sprays because then you're going to get pools of primer. And I did read somewhere that if you use gray primer under reds and tones that are really hard to cover, that it would show through better and become more like opaque. It would cover faster. So I tried white on one set of cornhole boards and I did gray on one set of cornhole boards. And at first I didn't really think there was much difference, but then over time I realized that there was, and the boards that I used the gray under, it definitely showed more opaque red than the boards I used the white with. But that's okay, I still got them where they needed to be. Just be sure to do the sides and back as well. The next thing we're going to do is sketch out our boards for painting. Alright, so here I am. Ignore my hair. I am going to be sketching out the first board. Now, I have made these boards before, so I actually just set a picture up there of the original boards that I did 3 years ago. And I draw out everything by hand. I paint everything by hand. I don't use stencils or stickers. If you are someone that isn't very artistic and you can't draw very well, there's nothing wrong with using stickers and stencils. It's going to save you a lot of time, honestly. So if you have to do that, do what you have to do. It will be a lot easier for you. I just prefer to do it this way because for me it's more personal and I really like to draw, so it's just the way I like to go. And the hardest part about starting your cornhole boards, oh god, that hair. The hardest part about starting your cornhole boards is honestly starting the sketch and getting everything proportionate. The last set of boards I did, I had to redraw them probably 4 times before I could paint. I actually didn't get a picture of the sketch of these boards, so this is actually a sketch from the last set of boards I did, but it gets a point. And this is a sketch from when I drew out the letters for this set of boards. Next step is going to be to paint your boards, which is the most exciting part. Hi, that's me. All right, so you're going to start out by painting just one color. Go color by color. It's honestly the easiest way to go. And I try to do colors that are not right beside each other so the color doesn't mix. And that's me jamming, which honestly is probably why it takes me so long to paint. Just kidding. You have to wait for all the paint to dry. But you want to do a thin, even layer. You don't want to do something gloppy. You don't want to have thick lines because one, it's going to take a lot longer for it to dry, but it's also going to be uneven. And all those gloppy lines show through once they dry. So then it's harder to cover those later on. And here I am just magically finishing this. I promise you, this took a lot longer than it looks like it did. And this is just the first coat. Everything will be coated at least 4 to 6 times. Everything I'm doing will be happening at least 4 to 6 times. Also, look at all the outfit changes. But I don't want it at all if it ain't you, baby. Alright, so that was the first board. Here I am painting out the second board, and like I said, there are a lot of outfit changes in this video because these boards took me probably 3 weeks, so that is why that's happening. And I did just want to include the first layer on the second boards as well, just so you could see what was going on. Like I said, everything will get at least 4 to 6 layers. Alright, so this is what one layer of orange and maroon looks like. And this is what 3 layers of maroon and orange looks like. This is what one layer of orange looks like. And this coming up is what I was telling you about. You don't want those thick lines because they dry like that. And that's me. All right, moving on to step 1 of sealing your boards. All right, you're gonna whip out that polyacrylic. You can also use polyurethane. Just be sure to read. I've used both of them before. I keep using the polyacrylic just because I like the way it dries and I feel like it's better with ambering, but hey, it's your personal preference. Just make sure you're reading up on things before you buy it. Don't just take my word for it. But you're going to want to do one thin layer of this. If you see little bubbles, it might be a little too thick, so just wipe it out again. And you want to get a thin layer, let it dry for about an hour, and do a second thin layer. And then you're going to, after you count your 2 coats of sealant, you're then going to lightly sand and finish sealing your boards. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to take a sandpaper 320 grit or higher, and I do the block again, and you're going to lightly, and I express this lightly, sand over the board. You do not want to scratch your paint. If it looks like you're scratching your paint, you are doing it too hard. You just want to go over the lines where 2 different colors meet, because some colors have to have more layers and you don't want those bumps. So you're going to lightly go over it and just try and get it smoothed out a little bit because you want your bags to smoothly go across. And then once you are done with the sanding, you're going to go back with a wet paper towel and wipe it down. You want to get all that sandy dust off. Flip that paper towel over, baby, and get a new clean side. But you want to get all the dust off because you're about to seal again and you don't want that dust in there. And then I get a dry paper towel and I dry it off real quick and make sure there's not any paper towel lint on there before you start sealing again. So we're going to take the polyacrylic again and we're going to layer it again, and all together I do about 4 to 5 coats. So like 2 coats, and then I sand, and then I do 2 to 3 coats. The last set of boards I used a whole can. This set I think I'm going to use most of the can, but not the entire can. Like I said before, you're just going to do thin, even layers because you want it to dry evenly. And this polyacrylic will also help with sealing it and keeping it safe from water, rain, things like that. But just be sure to not keep your boards outside because ambering will happen a lot quicker if you do that. The polyacrylic will also make your boards a little bit slicker. Alright, once you do that, you're going to do 2 to 3 more coats, and I didn't film painting the sides, the legs, and the back, but I do paint them about 2 to 3 layers each, and I also seal the sides and legs with 2 layers of polyacrylic. Sorry, I forgot to film that. Yeah, I'm always forgetting to film something. Alright, once you're done, you want to let those babies dry for at least 24 hours to fully harden before you start playing on them. And you're all done. I hope you guys like this video. If you do, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you decide to make a pair of your own, please be sure to tag me on Instagram at Lowe's Little Creations. This is my set of boards, and the lighting's a little weird on that one. But I'm going to let you guys exit out to enter Sandman. So thank you so much for watching.